After you did your little report up here, did you take photos of that house?
I've lived in Cobourg for over 50 years. I've raised my family here. I felt safe, but now I don't.
Had a drug house 2 doors down from us, so it was constant.
It's such a shame to have that building in place and not have people be able to use it.
Yeah, we have harm reduction stuff. Anything that you need, we can try to find. We can help you to sort things out.
Hey, we're coming in with the media. To say that this is a bad place because of drug addicts is a hate crime.
It's easier just to kind of go on your own.
Because we need to reintegrate these people into society.
Because it's not morally wrong to be a drug user. There's a lot of nuances to that.
I'm Tamara Ugolini here with Rebel News on the streets of downtown Cobourg, Ontario that used to be known as a sleepy small town, Ontario's feel-good town. Now, certain members of the community seem to be feeling a little bit too good as the community grapples with increasing incidences of open-air drug use and the crime and violence that seems to inevitably follow. These progressive policies that have infiltrated our big cities are now trickling out to small towns as well. And behind me here is the source of much contention in the local community, 310 Division Street. It was just purchased by the broader county known as Northumberland County, which is comprised of unelected, unaccounted bureaucrats who made the decision to purchase this former nursing home to the tune of $2.3 million, where it will now serve as a quote-unquote low barrier 35-bed shelter space.
Shouldn't be low barrier. It should be for the working poor, the seniors, mothers with children, instead of for this.
It's said to be replacing the existing transition house that's a few steps away from this particular location, and that has been a source of contention in the local community since at least 2018. As I mentioned, crime and violence seem to inevitably follow. So we're going to walk the streets and see if we can get the opinion of those on the streets, what they think about this proposed shelter space, the growing encampment on the east end of town, the increases in violence, petty crime, and also point out some of the spaces and places most affected by this burgeoning issue in downtown Cobourg. Let's check it out. You can see behind me is the existing transition house just steps away from the newly acquired building at 310 Division Street.
Did you just take photos of that house? Since you've been standing over here after you did your little report up here, did you take photos of that house?
Yeah.
Look at your photos and you tell me whether I'm on your camera or not.
The church adjacent to the existing transition house has also been the subject of crime and violence. Parents trying to drop their children off for choir practice have been attacked in this parking lot.
I could hear yelling directly behind me, so I turned around and there was one standing behind me. I told him to get off my property and he proceeded to punch me in the mouth and knock me out.
The church had to also hire a private security company to shoo those drug users off of their property. They were using various crevices and nooks and crannies within this outdoor space to use their drugs.
It's not comfortable to walk about like it used to be, and I'm finding it looking a little dirty.
I've lived in Cobourg for over 50 years. I've raised my family here. I felt safe, but now I don't.
I'm downtown on King Street, and you can see behind me the Scotiabank has its door glass completely smashed out. Several of the small businesses along the main street have had their glass smashed out in recent weeks and in recent months. Almost all of the banks downtown in the downtown core here now close their doors and their vestibules between the hours of 8 to 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. because of the proliferation of people using the vestibules as sleeping shelters and in wake of overdoses in the vestibules after hours, including at least one death. Rest in peace, Corey Trenuth. So the bank machines are completely inaccessible. You can't even get into the bank to get money out. Off hours, you can see here, ABM hours are 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. After that, if you need to get money out of your account, there are some alternatives. This one is not open. Do you ever feel unsafe coming to the bank these days?
Yes, I don't come down unless my husband's in the car.
Really?
Yes.
Have you had any run-ins or any experience specifically?
No, but my sister-in-law has run-ins with 2 different street people.
We found a needle on College. Had a drug house 2 doors down from us, so it was constant. Yeah, we've had more than a few adventures.
I've spoke to the counselor, and he said that they're doing what they can, but they can't do too much because the street people have their rights just the same as we do. And it's really scary because Cobourg's getting so bad.
Right across the street here, we're at RBC now, and the bank is open in terms of getting into the vestibule, but you can see there's an advance notice here that between the hours of 8 p.m. and 8 a.m., this vestibule will close, and there are alternative spaces where you'll have to go to get your money from the machine because this space will no longer be available after the hour of 8 p.m. nightly.
I used to walk early in the morning, like 6 in the morning. I don't do that. I have a personal alarm with me, but I still don't do that unless he's with me.
You can't hurt people, you can't bar them from downtown, but we need to feel safe.
And there's a number of businesses apparently that are going to be closing. Van Jewelers, Sky over there is closing, and I heard Play It Again Sports, but that's up that way.
I mean, we have a scanner that we hear of all these overdoses, and I think there was just one up here east.
Okay.
The ambulance were there, the fire department. It's too bad because it's such a beautiful town.
It's a sad situation and going to get much worse.
Speaking to those 2 elderly ladies, it seems that we've forgotten about who the vulnerable really are: the elderly, women, and children. Those with homelessness and addiction issues, yes, they should have help and they should be given outlets and places to properly address the issues that they're dealing with, but they aren't our vulnerable. Our vulnerable have and always will be our women, our children, and our elderly. Let's not forget that. We're here now just south of Transition House and 310 Division Street on Albert Street. Behind me you can see the Frink. It's known as such because it's a fountain in the summer and then a rink in the winter. And behind me there is a small outbuilding that was supposed to serve the taxpayer and those enjoying this Frink in the wintertime as a warm space for families, children, parents, people attending this rink to take on and take off their skates and their outdoor gear. But because of the proliferation of illicit drug use and the homelessness that seems to follow, this outbuilding has been closed now for the better part of 2 years after assaults and other violent incidences were happening in front of families and their children. 2 porta potties now stand in its midst, which local townspeople say are dirty and unfit for use. There are oftentimes people who would like to use their illicit drugs seen entering and exiting those porta potties. So is that a fair use of the taxpayers' dollars where a building that they funded and paid for is now shuttered and closed because of those who don't wish to abide by basic rules and law and order? What do you think of the building down there being closed for those families out there skating today?
Terrible.
I thought of that for, and I know a lot of other people think the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that seems a little bit strange. I think there's better solution, hopefully, to rather than close the building completely.
It's such a shame to have that building in place and not have people be able to use it.
Get that washroom open down there. You can't even put your skates on in there.
But you have to spend at least $20 for breakfast or lunch to go to the washroom. It's sad.
It was a nice spot to put on the skates and everything, so it's a little more awkward, I guess, getting the skates on the tarps in the cold when you can't feel your fingers.
The kids down there skating, they want to go in and get warm. And they pay for the rental of those 2, John Deere.
Porta potties.
Yeah. And no, I don't agree. I think it's terrible what they're doing.
People that I know would just not use these porta potties. They're just restricting themselves from using them, and certainly their families from using them because of the unsanitary conditions. Yes, I would very much greatly appreciate the bathrooms being opened. If I was to ask for a vote, I would vote yes, open those bathrooms.
Do you see the increases in violence downtown, the drug use?
Oh, more, yes, absolutely. I agree with that.
I just spoke to the shop owner at Woody's Convenience behind me, which has been a staple on the downtown street of Cobourg for nearly 38 years. As the owner looks forward to his retirement, he says that he is increasingly aware of theft, violence, and intimidation at his little business, along with other businesses here in the downtown core. It is a sad state of affairs for small business owners as the town grapples with a 41% increase in violent crime in the area since 2021-2022. I'm on King Street East now, across the road from St. Peter's Church, which also offers shelter space between the hours of 8 p.m. and 8 a.m. Behind me here is the site of an unsanctioned overdose prevention site. It's unsanctioned in that it's unofficial. It's being run by essentially social workers.
Do you want like a whole rig? Yeah, we have harm reduction stuff. Anything that you need, we can try to find. We can help you to sort things out.
This unsanctioned overdose prevention site is coordinated by self-described abolitionist Missy or Melissa McLean, who is a social worker and serves as the Ontario Director for Moms Stop the Harms. It's a primarily government-funded harm reduction and safe supply advocacy group. In a very clear breach of what I would call a conflict of interest, she also works at the Northumberland Community Legal Centre as a research project lead. Just behind me here on Friday nights, they run an unsanctioned overdose prevention site between the hours of 6 to 9 or 6 to 10 p.m. because nothing quite says reducing stigma like camping out in a dark park to use illicit drugs in a quote-unquote safe and harm-reducing manner. There used to be a bus shelter, which unfortunately turned into a drug use haven. And as recently as last week, someone smashed the glass out of this bus shelter and was subsequently removed by the town after Cobourg residents repeatedly voiced concerns around safety and the absolute squalor that encompassed this particular bus shelter, which has now been entirely removed. There is no trace or remnants of its existence. St. Peter's Church and the surrounding residents also voice safety concerns as this church provides shelter space to those suffering from homelessness and addiction. With as recently as December, 2 security guards having to be sent to the hospital after they were exposed to the fumes of suspected fentanyl in the bathroom of this particular facility.
Now it's up to $18,000 for new tents up there.
We were very concerned when they first set up camp here. We started noticing some pillaging in the yards.
I'm coming back here now and I'm realizing that like many of my friends that I grew up with are dead.
They all feel that they're safer in their own group, in their own hierarchy.
I'm here now at Ground Zero, the most visible indication of homelessness in Cobourg's East End, King Street East and Brook Road at the burgeoning encampment. The encampment came about after a house was condemned on Division Street, 413 Division Street, where it was being documented that there was squalor and other safety hazards, putting the residents of that house at risk. And when the displacement happened, this led to an encampment situation that moved around Cobourg before they landed at this particular property here at the Brookside. This is provincial property, and the province has issued a trespass notice to the residents here, but that seems to obviously be falling on deaf ears. So we're going to wade into the encampment and see what kind of information we can find out about those who are living it. Let's check it out. How many people would you say are taking up residence in here?
25.
And how many tents total? Because I think it looks more like, yeah. So are some of them just not being used?
So the that one there is used for donations. Then you got people who have their winter tents.
There was a fire here recently, and so
It wasn't as bad as it may be seen. It was somebody started the fire. They went to get something to eat, came back, and their backpack fell against the wood stove. It was a small little smoldering. It wasn't a fire. It was just a smoldering thing. We put it out. It was 45 minutes after the fact that the fire department even showed up. So.
What kind of, like, the fire department has posted something here about like having carbon monoxide detectors and things like that?
We have fire alarms. We have fire extinguishers. We're taking precautions.
Yeah. What's the solution as it gets, increasingly colder out here?
There's no solution. We just got to stay warm. That's it.
And what about the shelter spaces or other places that have space available and you might not want to utilize them? Or
where are these spaces?
Yeah, there's a couple. There's hotels, Transition House, St. Peter's Church.
Sure. Is somebody going to pay for the hotels?
Yeah, I think the county does.
No, they don't. They're actually scrapping the hotel program.
As of when?
I don't know. Probably already have.
And that's not obviously though a reasonable solution.
No, well, it's only for some people, and they only have 12 shelter spaces for that. I have 25 people here.
Why do you say you have 25 people here?
Because I'm responsible for them. I take care of them.
How do you do that?
My girlfriend and I set all this up.
And then you
And then they follow us. They take care of us. We're like mom and dad.
Mom and dad to, sorry, you said 25 people?
Yeah. They have problems. It's a big family. They have problems. They come to us. They have fight. They come to us. They want stuff. They come to us.
Why is that though? Don't they have their own, like, are they adults or?
They're adults, but they don't advocate for themselves, and we do.
Oh, and how do you advocate for them?
Outreach for sleeping bags, pillows, blankets, harm reduction, food, shelter.
What about getting clean?
Sure. That's part of Parn.
Pardon?
That's part of the Parn's stuff and Greenwood's stuff. It's harm reduction, is getting clean, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody here is an addict. That's a very big misconception.
Well, I'm hearing that there are other people who unfortunately have fallen into homelessness who don't want to be here because there is, the drug use.
No, that's false. I don't know anybody that has said to me or said to anyone that they don't want to be here because of drug use. There's drug use everywhere. There's drug use in people's houses. It's everywhere. What, because people here are addicts and they admit to it? We're just not closeted like everybody else. To say that this is a bad place because they're drug addicts is a hate crime.
I don't know that anybody's saying that.
Okay. Well, you said it was because of the drug use.
Well, some people don't want to be in this residence because of the drug use. So I don't know that they're saying it's a bad place necessarily. It just might not be a good fit for them because they don't want to.
It's a hate crime.
Do you think that the house at 310 Division should incorporate an overdose prevention site or a safe consumption spot?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They have them on every corner. For alcohol, they're called bars. What's the difference? Mm-hmm. Alcohol's a drug. Caffeine's a drug.
And what would that look like in a shelter space with 35 beds that may be housing children and families?
They would have a capacity. Obviously, they would be regulated space for people to do whatever it is they choose to do. And they would have, obviously, security there, bouncers. It would be regulated usage. This is the one that we use for like community dinners, and they bring food and water and. Hey, we're coming in with the media. We have dinners and they'll bring the full dinners and we'll set them up on the table in here. People will come with their plates and fill up, go, water, whatever. Again, some harm reduction supplies.
And who helps you with
warm.
this?
So there's a church group a Church on the Hill, that's been helping us with crowdfunding and whatnot. That's where these winter tents have came from. The community has really stepped up. Lots of people have come around and gave clothes, blankets, food. Let's go inside.
Yeah, sure, thanks. Well, let's go in. Hey there.
How are you guys?
Good, how are you?
Not too bad.
Fireplace here, some couches for hanging out, and then we do the dinners and stuff on the table.
Yep.
Harm reduction underneath the table. Yeah, it's pretty simple.
So there's that fire, and then
That one.
there's this one. So there's two. And you've got your smoke alarms.
Yeah. Smoke alarms, fire extinguishers are here somewhere. Right there. No?
Some of us went to church today.
Okay.
And we had Burger King shared amongst each other.
Hey, I don't know where Chris went, but we just wanted to have a look at the inside of your tent if that's okay.
Hi.
Hey, I'm Tamara.
How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Come on in.
Yeah, thanks. Where were you before you came into this tent?
Well, I lived in Bowmanville with my mom for the longest time. I moved out here to be with my dad, who just recently passed away. But
oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
No, that's okay. So with his passing and everything, it's been rocky. So that's why I'm in this kind of situation now. But
yeah, just kind of in transition.
Yeah, pretty much.
What is it about Transition House or the other shelter spaces that make them not accessible to you?
It's not like you don't get very much privacy. Your belongings are really open to everyone else's. There's like rules that just don't accommodate for other people. You know what I mean? Like there's some people that work nights. You can't work nights if you're in the shelter because you have a curfew. It's just different stuff like that. So it's easier just to kind of go on your own, right?
And now, so you have this little wood stove here. Is it keeping you warm enough? Do you think?
Yeah, it actually heats up in here quite quickly. We had it like 5-10 minutes, and once the fire's on, it's heated up as long as the doors are shut properly. There's two linings.
What do you think would be a better, more sustainable, long-term solution for people, in this encampment rather than a winterized tent with a wood stove?
Well, I mean, more like affordable housing, you know what I mean? Like it's so tight, packed right now, and the list is so long. Like it's like a 5 to 10 year wait for just a single to get into the RGI. So, more affordable housing is really what my only solution. Like, I don't really know.
Yeah. The county bought that building at 310 Division Street, that former nursing home. Will that be, do you think, a reasonable solution for you when it becomes available?
I believe so. I haven't really heard much about it myself. I wasn't really in with the meetings and everything for that one, but I think a lot of us are excited to get in there for like the warmer weather, as much as it's going to suck to be out in the cold. But it'd be nice to have the stability, right? So
yeah, because it seems like if there's stability, then you can actually get yourself out. Exactly. I mean, I don't know, are you working or do you want to work?
I want to, yes, but not right now. No, I'm currently just focusing on myself. So
if that money was shifted over to resourceful rehab centers for the drug addicts, that would be a much better bang for our buck, because we need to reintegrate these people into society.
Use the bylaws you have now. Use your police, give them the authority to do what should be done. No open drugs being done. Kids are walking right by, watching them shooting up. Like, come on.
I'm sure a lot of the residents around this neighborhood often think that, they're concerned about drug use. Education is really important, especially when you're dealing with children and drug use.
That's a wrap here in Cobourg, Ontario. Only time will tell if reasonable long-term solutions are provided or if this situation here behind will continue to grow. For Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini. We are covering the issue of homelessness, addiction, encampments, unlike anywhere else you've seen before at fixourcities.com, because if we can't fix our cities, this is coming to a city, a town, a small town, a county near you. If you'd like to support our work and sign our petition, you can do so at fixourcities.com.